Guys, once again, welcome to another video. In this video, I want to talk about a pattern that I have seen lately, and it's about the founders that don't want to productize their services. Okay, founders who run services with real customers and good margins, and they are afraid of productizing their services. Why the founders who most need to productize is the one who takes the longest to start. But first of all, so you know a bit more about me. My name is Justo. I have been building apps for more than 3 years. I had a marketing agency in the past, and I started noticing a pattern, okay, or a problem that was that the effort that I had to put on the agency and the time was increasing in the same percentage of my, let's say, revenue. So at that moment, it stopped make sense for me to continue with that agency, and I came again to build software. Look, one of the latest projects that I built last year was BMark. Okay, that was the fourth project I developed last year, and I killed it completely. Okay, not after burning thousands of dollars on development, just in just 2 weeks. And it wasn't, because I had a revelation. It was because I had a clear criterion before starting. If after 2 weeks there were no signs the problem hurt enough, I would stop. By then, I already had a previous experience with bills that failed. I had been through the cycle, and still that a fast cycle was possible. Not despite the prior experience, but because I used it in a specific way that I will describe in this video. What typically happens to service founders that want to productize their service, okay, or they want to turn their service into a software as a service application, okay, or a general application, is that their failed builds create paralysis. If you have a service generating from, let's say, 20K to 200K in monthly recurring revenue with a team of 3 to 25 people, and you have been operating for a while, you probably already know what your problem is. You know that each customer, new customer doesn't add freedom because it adds complexity. It makes you put more time in your business instead of less time. You know that if you step away for a week, the business feels it. You know you are building revenue and not necessarily an asset. That's the main problem. And if you already tried once to build software to solve it, you also know something went wrong. Maybe you didn't even launch, maybe you launched and there was no traction, maybe the process dragged on so long that when you finished, the market had changed. And the problem here is that the brain doesn't draw, conclusions about the process. It draws conclusions about the person, about you. So instead of thinking of the process, you start thinking about yourself as a complete failure. You start blaming yourself. Like, I'm not someone who succeeds at it. I'm not good enough. My case is different. It's harder. It probably wasn't the right time. Maybe the productization model doesn't work for me. Whatever. You start putting excuses, but it doesn't have anything to do with you. And that's one of the core reasons why a lot of people that have a lot of potential don't convert their service into a software as a service applications. There are mainly two kinds of fear. One has information and the other has history. The first kind of fear that has information sounds like, I'm afraid of repeating the same mistake unless I do X, Y, and Z differently this time. And this is the kind of fear that, if you listen to it, makes you more rigorous, makes you ask better questions before committing resources. And that's not necessarily, a bad fear. It's an alert that if you approach it right, it can help you. The second fear has history. Like, I already tried, I don't know if it would work again. There aren't specific conditions at the end. There's a general feeling, I'm already something missing, but I don't know what. And the practical difference is this. If the first kind of fear tells you to do something different, the second kind simply tells you to do nothing. And do nothing for a founder with a service at the ceiling is not neutral. It's a decision and it's expensive. The reason why it's expensive is because you don't notice it, and the service itself, it starts dragging you more and more and more and more. And by the time that you realize you don't have time for anything, you're working 14 hours a day in your business and not necessarily generating better results. What's different about founders who do move forward after a failed build is not about mindset, it's not necessarily about resilience. It's not finding the right mentor or reading the right book. I mean, it's about having a defined rejection criterion before committing resources, before building the first roadmap, before writing a single line of code. They answer a very clear and specific question. And this is what you will see in a lot of different books mentioned as the activation rate, okay, or the activation metric. What is the specific observable signal with a set time frame that will tell me if this problem is real enough to proceed? That question literally changes the starting point. Before talking about product, before talking about features, before talking about software as a service, you need to think about this, okay? What is the specific problem that repeats in your service, the same one for the same type of client, month after month, that you're currently solved with human work, okay? You hired people to do that, for which someone has already paid you real money. It has three key things. It repeats, it's solved with human work right now, and someone already paid you specifically to solve that. So summarizing a bit of everything, a lot of people and a lot of service founders don't want to build software because they have already been burned in the past. But you need to use that clear differentiation. The problems that your mind creates that are not real from the ones that are from failed builds that teach you something. What I've learned is that rejection is the most valuable resource you have when you are starting out. When I killed BMark, the most valuable thing wasn't necessarily what I've learned, but the time that I didn't waste. And that was possible because the rejection criteria were defined before starting, not in the middle of the process after there was emotional investment. For founders with a history of failed deals, the speed of the next cycle matters more than the quality of the plan. Not because the plan don't matter, but because the paralysis produced by having burned capital before is proportional to the time imagined to be invested in the next attempt. So before any development, before any hiring, you define a minimum condition for progress. Look, the experience of having burned capital before is not evidence that you can't. It is evidence of simply what you must not repeat. Okay, it's as simple as that. Those are two completely different things. And the later is actionable information. So guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope this video woke up a lot of different service founders, because I believe a lot of people have a great potential to build wonderful things, but they are attached to the past. Leave your past aside and focus on the problem that you are solving right now and see if you can productize it. If you want me to help you one-on-one, building a long-term asset, changing your service business for a software as a service application, there's only one thing that you need to do, and it's booking a call. You will have the link on the comment section. If this video helped you, you would also help me a lot if you subscribe to the channel and you hit the like button, because in that way we can keep reaching new people. Thank you a lot for supporting the channel, and I hope to see you on the next video.